Welcome to today's video. My name is Taymor and I'm a filmmaker and content creator, and today we're going to be reviewing the Laowa 10mm f2.8 0D lens. This lens is extremely wide, and if it isn't clear already, that's exactly what we're filming on today. So again, if it isn't apparent already, this lens is extremely wide. It gives you 130.4 degrees field of view. And one of the most notable features of this lens is the advertised 0D, which stands for zero distortion. So what that effectively means is that all lines that are supposed to stay straight actually stay straight when you're recording. And this is actually very unique and rare when it comes to lenses that are this wide. Now, let's talk about aperture. This lens in particular drops down to f2.8. Now, f2.8 isn't the lowest aperture you can get on a lens. There's a lot of prime lenses that go much lower, but for a lens this wide, f2.8 is absolutely great because it allows you to shoot in those low light environments much better, as well as shoot indoors where there potentially isn't a lot of light introduced into the frame. Next, the lens is actually designed specifically to keep chromatic aberration to a minimum, as well as distortion that we touched on earlier. So this is absolutely amazing because it then produces a really clean image that you can build off of in your post-production workflows, such as color grading. So overall, the image quality comes across very clean and professional and quality, and that's huge for a lens this wide. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the specs of the lens. This is Laowa's first full-frame ultra-wide lens that has autofocus. For all of my video creators, you guys know how important it is to have autofocus in today's world, and this lens has it. Right now, I'm shooting on the Sony E-mount version of the lens. However, it also comes for Nikon Z-mount. The autofocus is quick, it's snappy, and it's reliable. So it doesn't really pulsate like other third-party lenses might, and therefore you can actually rely on it for a lot of use cases like vlogging or run and gun filmmaking. So now the thing that's going to be the biggest shocker and the thing that I'm impressed with the most is the minimum focus distance. What you'll notice right now is how close I actually am to the camera. This is my hand, and this is how close I am. That's absolutely insane. I think I'm about potentially 20 centimeters from the camera itself. The length of my hand is right here. If I was to stretch my arm out, it goes actually way past the camera. This allows you to create really stylized looks. So for example, if I was to come really close to the camera, I'm genuinely, my face is right up next to the camera. I can come really close, but you have a lot of context around. So you're able to really get an image where the person is large in frame, but there's still a lot of background context still in frame. You can therefore create a lot of really unique and stylized looks with this lens. Now, let's talk about build quality. The lens, in my opinion, is actually very affordable, but despite that, it has an all-metal construction and it really feels solid, durable, and premium. The lens weighs 450 grams, which means that when you attach it to your lens, you can feel the weight of the lens on your camera, but it's light enough that if you carry it around all day, you won't feel tired. I took this lens with me to Japan recently and I carried it around all day and had absolutely no issues at all. And the other form factor that I love about this lens when it comes to its physical features is how compact it is. When you attach it to your camera, it has a very low profile. So if you're shooting in public, for example, like I am right now, the lens is very low profile and it's very discreet. For a lot of run and gun filmmakers or content creators, this is a key factor. You don't want to essentially be carrying around a very heavy lens attached to your camera lens for long running gun shooting days, for example, when you're shooting travel content. Now I'm going to talk about another feature, which is one of my key favorites. Again, there's a lot about this lens that is absolutely amazing, and that's the fact that it has a filter thread. There is a 77mm filter thread built into the lens itself, and that might not sound like a big deal to a lot of you, but for all of my content creators and filmmakers who are used to shooting on ultra-wide lenses, this is absolutely a game changer. You're able to apply ND filters to the camera directly, and that's not the case with a lot of other ultra-wide lenses because other ultra-wide lenses have a very domed element to the front of their lens that prevents you from attaching ND filters or makes it extremely difficult to do so. Now, if you're shooting in a very bright and sunny environment like I am right now in the middle of New York City on a bright and sunny afternoon, you're able to pop on ND filters and control your exposure manually that you wouldn't really be able to do so otherwise. So now let's talk about the 0D promise. So while no lens can be effectively zero distortion completely, Laowa comes pretty close. If you point your camera directly at a subject, you'll notice that the lines surrounding your subject will remain straight. However, because the lens is so extremely wide, if you do start tilting the camera up or down, there will be some sort of distortion introduced into the frame. And that's expected for a lens that's 10 millimeters in focal length. But the key difference here is that unlike a fisheye lens, when you do tilt your camera or have movement introduced into the frame, it won't distort it or warp it like a fisheye lens would. It still creates a neutral looking image that's very, very usable. So now let's talk about what this camera is really good for. This is not the one-stop lens that you need to attach to your camera and forget about it, and it's the only thing you need when you're shooting. This is great for very specific niche situations where you want that more stylistic ultra-wide look, and it's very intentional, and the key is intention. For example, if you're shooting in a space where there isn't that much space and you need to still show depth, or you still need to show depth or really showcase that there is more space than it might be in real life, the lens is perfect. So for example, if you're shooting inside a car, it's amazing to have this lens because you can really showcase the full interior of the car that you wouldn't really be able to if you had a lens that was a lot tighter. There's a couple other great use cases when it comes to photography. This lens is absolutely amazing for landscape photography, night sky photography, and that's simply due to the fact of how much it really captures in one go. And the key benefit for content creators, this lens is perfect for vlogging. You don't have to hold it far from your face like we talked about earlier. You can really put it on your camera, take it out in public, and capture a lot of your vlogging footage that you need to without coming across as intrusive or drawing too much attention for yourself. And this also prevents you from needing a selfie stick or a full rig to really record yourself. You can actually hold it handheld and keep it a relatively close distance away from your face and still capture a lot of the context behind you that's perfect for YouTube video vlogs. And the other key benefit here about this lens is that because it's so wide, that when you do have movements or shakiness in handheld footage, because of how wide it is, it actually mitigates that and creates a more stabilized look than it would be otherwise if you were shooting on, let's say, a 24mm lens. So to wrap up, the 10mm f2.8 0D lens by Laowa is an excellent tool to add to your tool belt as a filmmaker. The key here, however, is that it's going to be used for very niche and specific and intentional use cases. It's not going to replace your 24-70 lens that is your bread and butter to carry around for a majority of the time when you're shooting. This is when you really want that unique, stylized look. Potentially you want to try out new compositions, new ideas, and really push the boundaries of what it means to create videos. For me personally, I love this lens. I love the look that it creates. It's very sharp, it's clean, and it actually lives on my camera a lot more than I would have expected to before I got the lens. And I always carry around with me when I'm traveling and creating a lot of content on the go. So I think Laowa did a phenomenal job at creating something and balancing innovation, build quality, and usability. For content creators and filmmakers who are looking to try something new without compromising quality, this lens is definitely for you and you need to check it out. Let me know what you guys think below. Have you ever used a lens this wide? Have you used Laowa? Have you used an alternative? What has your experience been with ultra wide lenses? I'd love to hear what you guys think and if you think this would be a great addition to your filmmaking bag as well. So if you found this helpful, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.